And I would say that the requirements as an individual contributor, product manager at a larger company versus a smaller company are different because of the way that you're expected to execute on the various projects.
Hi, Sari. Thanks so much for being here today. So first, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sounds good. Thank you, Vic, for inviting me to participate. Great to see you today. So a little bit about me. My name is Sari. I graduated from Waterloo and Wilkes-Barre University, just like Bea, in the double degree program. I studied math as well as business. I also have a computer science minor. I started my career working in marketing for e-commerce. I was really interested in more data-driven experiences and personalization pretty early on. How I got in was actually through a webinar initially where I was looking at a collaboration between an e-commerce company and a data company. They were talking about how they could use the day-to-day actions of e-commerce customers in order to be able to cater experiences for them. Now, this isn't so abnormal in 2022, but for me, this was, I think, back in 2011, and I thought it was one of the coolest things I had learned about. And since then, I've been working on a variety of things similar in nature. I didn't really get into product management right away. I've been in product management for 6 years, and eventually I realized I wanted to get into product. So in the past, I've had product experiences at Walmart and eBay, and I also became head of product at a post-Series A startup. And currently I'm a senior product manager at Twitter.
I would say a lot of the jobs that when we just graduated more than 10 years ago, they were not popular or not really there, and things change a lot with the whole data science and then product management and everything. So yeah, you're definitely one of the one that pioneer in that sense.
Yeah, I guess like there's a saying within product management, the accidental product manager, where a lot of people who got into product management maybe a little earlier on, the role was not as well defined as it is today, and you kind of stumble on it by accident, and after some time you realize, oh, okay, maybe this is the type of work I'm doing. Maybe it's called product management.
Yeah. So today, I invited you here because I would like you to share a lot of your knowledge about as being a product manager, because I think that is an exciting career path and a lot of people are interested in it. So can you describe your work as a product manager?
Yeah, sure. So as a product manager, you try to hold the standard of what you deliver to the customer, as high as you can get within some of your constraints. And so what does that involve? It involves really, really understanding well the customer problem and that domain, understanding the industry, the competition, and what is like the value that your product can offer to the customer. And this can be based on what you know of the customer using your product. It can be based on product market fit if it's a 0 to 1 product. It can be based on research. It can be based on data. And that's, I think, the most important thing is to really understand the problems that you want to solve for them and what is valuable for the customer. And then you can bring that to your team and decide if there is something that is worth building, given your resource and time constraints and what the team aspires to become in the future as a company or a product, and see what can be built. This involves many different jobs that you can play. I would say product managers tend to do a little bit of everything. There's some understanding of the technical domain, a bunch of understanding about the business domain, understanding the user, being able to work across analytics, in some cases UX, in some cases platforms, infrastructure. So it's a pretty diverse field, all centered around solving customer problems.
You have a lot of different experiences working in large companies like Walmart, eBay, and then also smaller companies. Can you share with us what are the pros and cons to these work settings, or anything interesting between the two?
I would say that product teams in larger companies they tend to be more likely to be working together to deliver, a large product with a bunch of considerations, and there tends to be a lot of scope and decision making within one problem domain. And it's likely that each team would take on a very specific part of the product, or each product manager would be doing something very specific. And so in these cases, like as an individual contributor, product manager in a larger company, they tend to be more specialists, or you tend to add more value to the specialists. You'll build a lot of domain expertise and take a greater level of responsibility and care with launches, because oftentimes you already have a pretty large customer base. So there's a lot of consideration when you do a launch, and it's usually a lot more careful and measured. I would say there's also a lot more cross-team collaboration in order for large teams to work together to deliver on products. Oftentimes it involves working with several teams. And so there's a lot more emphasis on open communication. In the remote working environment, there's a lot more emphasis on written communication skills, async work communication skills. Product teams in smaller companies, it's a little different. So you're more likely to work on a variety of tasks. Oftentimes within startups, these startups themselves are still trying to build their industry expertise. And so it's quite likely that the software teams might be relying a lot more on the product manager to bring in that industry expertise, and also to guide them. And there's more of a customer discovery process as you understand your product market fit. And so these product managers are typically more likely to be generalists, or they become more successful as generalists wearing many different hats. And as product managers move on in their career and become more senior, there's also a need for the product manager to have both deep technical expertise or deep expertise in some business domain, as well as having a lot of general product experience and having to work with different products. So oftentimes it's good to do a mix of both. Work in large companies for a little while, learn some best practices, and try out a startup or a smaller company where we're able to manage things end to end for that variety of experience.
Mm-hmm. Those are very insightful. So would you say that it takes different things to become a good product manager for different settings? Because you mentioned, for a smaller company, usually tend to be to be successful, you want to be a generalist, or or over the long run, the characteristic and then the quality in order to become a good product manager would be the same for regardless of the environments.
Yeah. And I would say that the requirements as an individual contributor product manager at a larger company versus a smaller company are different because of the way that you're expected to execute on the various projects. Within larger companies, you can make a bigger impact, perhaps. In many cases, if you can be a little bit more specialized, and within, let's say, startups in larger companies, or just startups or smaller companies in general, you can make a larger impact by having more general execution. But as you move on to product leadership, you're one step away from the execution, but it's more about vision. And when it comes to vision, it's about understanding how different parts of the product can fit together to serve beings of customer needs. And so in that case, the requirements for someone in a product leadership role tend to converge on having both specialization in some kind of domain, but also a variety of general product experience.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. So what is your advice for people who are interested in this career path to become a product manager?
I would say start as early as you can. Some people are thinking, okay, maybe it's good to get other types of experiences before getting into product management. But I have found that in this industry, nothing can really replace your experience in shipping both successful products as well as products that maybe failed that you can learn from. And so this quality of experience within product management, years of experience in product management are important. So I would say try to get in as early as you can. I think that I think the best way to get into product management is to figure out whether you're already working for a software or IT company right now, and is there something that you can do that is product adjacent? So many people get into product management from product analytics, from QA, from program management. So doing something, or in some cases consulting as well, but doing something just a little bit adjacent to product management. And then getting some of that experience, learning as much as you can. And then at some point, I'd say usually the easiest way to get in is with your current company, if you're already working for a company that produces software to some nature. And then, speaking to people internally, seeing if they can vouch for you in a product role. And then once you have maybe a couple of years of experience, working within your own company in product management, then that's really like a good opportunity to think about, okay, well, what else can I do in product? And you'll find that opportunity tend to open up a little bit more at that.
Okay, so last but not least, so if you could give an advice to your younger self, what would you say? Anything, maybe about career or about life or anything?
I would say to study the things that I enjoy in school, and really take that time to explore different interests. Meet as many people as I can. Build some valuable connections and friendships. I found that as we all graduated and started to go into different types of industries, sometimes I feel like I've lost a little bit of touch with those friends who are really important to me back in university, like yourself, V. We should talk more. But I think outside of that, it's good to while you're in school and have the opportunity to build up some level of technical skills, because I find that they can apply in many different types of companies and roles today. And so I wish that, I did take a little bit of time to build up my technical skills during school, but I wish I had maybe done a little bit more of that. But still, like, no pressure. I find that a lot of skills can be picked up, outside of school and as you're uncovering what you want to do in your career. And so, I would just tell myself to learn as much as I can about the things I'm passionate about, and meet as many people and make some good friendships and connections.
So try a little bit more, and then we can always like improve ourselves more. But as you say, I agree. Like if we didn't do it back then, as long as we continue to do it now, we're always getting better in the future. Yeah.
Yeah, just like your actuarial exams, you can do that whenever you like and study. Study whenever you like, and I think the same is true for many other skill sets. So it's all a long journey.
Definitely. Yeah. Thanks again, Sarah, for being here today. And we need to catch up after this.
We totally do. Thank you, Dee.